Hello everybody, welcome to my video about my favorite pack, the REI Lookout 40. Now for those of you who know these packs, this is not the current generation. This is the older generation. You can't buy this pack anymore. This pack is about 13 years old. You can see it's kind of beat up. I'm retiring it from my adventure service, but as I've now gone into the market to look for replacement packs, I've realized I can't replace the many features that this one has, which I've come to know and love. So this is the first video I've ever made of this kind, but I am passionate enough about these details that I wanted to make this video to communicate to the world some of the features that I've found a lot of value in and why. And hopefully the REI engineers might see this and take to heart some of these things in their next pack designs. The theme to this whole video will be to communicate the law of unintended uses. These days a lot of gear designs are just single purpose, focusing on just one use. But this pack has got many features which allow it to be adapted to many different uses. That you've got the tools here to improvise and make it adapt to whatever your purposes may be. Now I do a lot of different things, so having that kind of a pack really means a lot to me. I rock climb, I ice climb, snow skiing, backcountry skiing, mountain biking, alpine climbing, hiking, canyoneering. I use this pack for all kinds of other miscellaneous stuff, even as luggage, going to the grocery store, carrying auto parts like batteries and brake drums and starters, and I scuba dive, so this gets gear in for that, out boating. Gosh, just whatever I need to carry, it's got to somehow find a way to do it. Pack rafting, yeah, that's about it, I guess. But nonetheless, those are all the things that I do, and I'll show you how this pack has adapted to those functions. But I'm sure you all have your own list of adventures and things you need to do, and so you'll find different ways to apply all these features. So let me introduce you to this pack. This is, like I say, the older version. You can't buy it anymore. I didn't trust the gear industry to keep my favorite packs, so 13 years ago I bought another one. This is the exact same pack, but it has had light duty use. I'd only use it as my motorcycle pack, but now it's going to be elevated into adventure service, and so it's still in perfect shape, so I'll get another 13 years of use out of that, hopefully. So let me look at this, point to this, this other one here. Just because it's not black, it's easier to see some things on it, all its features. So just an intro to the pack. It's a front loading pack, which I like a lot. You know, it opens up about 3/4 of the way, allows you to get at the base, and kind of a contained volume there in case you have smaller things. The sides here kind of come up so it keeps your stuff in place. You know, I say these things because they're in contrast to other packs, and I'll mention that now. I did go out and buy the current generation Lookout 40. So this one you can still buy. I understand it is being phased out now, though, for the Trail 40. This is still a reasonably good pack. It's not as good as the older generation, and I'll be pointing out some of those reasons, contrasting it with that, but still much better than the Trail, in my opinion. But one of the things that you notice about this pack is that, you know, it's got its thickness on the top part. It comes undone, and not so much thickness here. I haven't really put this pack to very much use to really grade these features, but you can see if you got a lot of stuff stacked in, like here, like I typically will, you know, they tend to kind of fall out, you know, not as easily contained. As this is just going to be my motorcycle pack, so it's not going to have as high of demands for it as my adventure pack. But still, if I hadn't gotten that pack, I'd be really unhappy right now because I couldn't find the pack that I wanted. We'll be going into a lot more detail comparing these two packs as I go along. But in any case, so this one's got a nice, you know, contained volume here. Hold your stuff in and you can take it out as you need it. Like when I'm rock climbing and stuff, I may have gear in here and I'm pulling it out as I need, you know. So there's that. The zippers are really good. The zippers are 13 years old and they've got a lot of use every single day I'm using these, and they zip really nice and smooth. These are things I point out which I find not true in other packs. So it's got an outer pocket here, which has got some organization to it, which is nice. And I'll point this out because it's just right. You know, you can put batteries and sewing kits and, you know, compasses and whatever little stuff you may have, tire repair kits. Other stuff here you might put in, sunscreen, whatever, down here. It goes all the way to the bottom there. I'll put headlamps, binoculars, climbing tape, etc. But it's perfect for that role. Keeps things well organized. I'll point out the amount of organization that it has here because it's in contrast to the current generation Lookout 40, which has none. You know, they're just some big open pockets here, which means everything's just gonna, you know, group down here at the bottom and kind of, yeah, it works, but I mean it's not as handy. It just all kind of gets jumbled down there. So these little things add up, in my opinion. You know, when you have to be searching around, you know it's down there somewhere, and you're fumbling, you have to dump everything out and find that, you know, that extra battery that you knew is down there somewhere. You know, that's frustrating. Or it's just lost down there. You thought you had batteries and you don't. You don't think you do. So it's got that outside pocket there, real handy. It's got these side pockets here, and these are accessible when it's on your back. I will put water bottles here, but I won't use these pockets for water bottles. For the kind of climbing and adventuring that I do, that's just not going to work. They would fall out. I'm almost never on the trail. It's never just a walk, almost never just a walk along kind of affair. It's almost always very athletic. Different body positions and orientations, squeezing into things and around things, and, you know, on my belly or whatever. And so that's just not a feasible way for me to carry anything. But I use these pockets for a lot of other things. So anyway, the point is that these pockets are handy. Oh, I want to point out that they're more roomy than one might think because there are these pleats. And I think this pack has really been well thought out. A lot of packs, they might put these pockets in here, but they end up being more just sort of pointless because they don't allow the expandability, or it just pushes into the interior. The suspension is really great on this. So this waist belt, it's really nice and comfortable. It's not heavy and bulky at all. It wraps nicely around. So I've had a lot of weight in this. I've probably had 60 pounds in this at some point. And so this will wrap around and ride quite nicely relative to how you might expect with a small pack like this with 60 pounds. And I'll contrast that with the new one, the new generation here. It looks like it has the same sort of suspension system, but you'll notice that it's not the same. winding these up, just winding these upright, it's shorter. So if you notice that, it's shorter by a good, I don't know, possibly 4 inches. And so this one, when it's on me, it just barely comes around my hips. As I mentioned before, I haven't yet put this into any kind of hardcore service, and it really won't be. But still, I keep an eye out for these features. And so you notice that it's just right there, right? My hip is right here. So when I have this thing loaded up, you know, it's going to be pulling right down, probably out tighter, but it's just right there, right? You know, so maybe it'll be okay. We'll see, but it doesn't inspire me with a lot of confidence. Why couldn't we have just stuck with the belt that works? You know, once you get something that's working, and that's a large pack, right? They have large and medium. You would think that, you know, if they were going to size it, they would make sure they sized it right. Okay, so there's that. There's another feature that I wanted to point out while I'm on this side of the pack. I am cannibalizing this pack to fix this pack up. This is the new generation Lookout 40, and it's got a lot of deficiencies, but I'm taking the good parts of this and modifying this one, customizing it. So you notice that this one, it's pretty stiff here. It didn't come that way. I took the stiffener out of this one and put it down inside this one. Fortunately, it fit really reasonably well. And I totally got rid of this scheme they have of putting the camelback in underneath this flap, which is a stupid idea in my opinion. It just poofs out this middle, and so it just makes it uncomfortable to wear, and you're just riding right in the middle there. It also, without having any stiffness in this pack, it's as flexible as, you know, this one is without its stiffener. And so, you know, you fill the thing up with gear, which, you know, I'm stuffing as much as I possibly can in these things. It's just going to balloon out and become a, you know, big sausage you're carrying. So it's really amazing to me that they did away with that. I still want that guy. So like I say, I'm putting that one in this one. So now you can tell that's really nice and solid. It'll keep its shape. And when I start filling this up, it will just fill up this way and not balloon out that way. And that's this. This is the old generation Lookout, my now new one. So you see that it's got the same sort of stiffener in here. And so it has that characteristic. Another detail I'll mention when we're talking about just general shape. Notice how when this is filled up, the kind of shape it has. So it gets fat up here. When I first got this pack, I thought, that's odd. But as it turns out, I realized that's kind of nice shape. It allows, when I'm putting stuff in here, once, you know, I can pack stuff down here, but in the end, I'm packing stuff right here. And having that extra volume, you know, I can put stuff in here and just start piling it up, and then this guy comes over and it, you know, amazingly will fit a lot of stuff. And then these compression straps are perfectly positioned to adjust out that volume when it's not needed. And, you know, the pack makes for a really decent size and shape. You don't have a lot of wasted, I mean, if it's not full, you don't have a lot of just, you know, uncompressed volume. So it's really a decent scheme. I can contrast that to the new one. So this guy, you'll notice that they put their volume down here at the bottom. You know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's logical, right? You might want to put most of your weight down the bottom. But it's just different. And this one, so it's thinner up here. than down there, which means you're going to be stuffing more stuff down there. Not a bad thing, but you know, the compression straps are up here, and so there's not a lot to pull in because they don't have a lot of thickness there anyway. Down here they have kind of an interesting feature. I don't know if it's a feature or just an accident. But notice how the pack kind of closes itself up. It seems like it's somehow attached to how they sewed this, but it's actually working. You know, like normally it would want to be out there and you'd have all this, you know, extra volume and much that if you didn't have it filled up, it would just kind of be going around for the ride. These straps down here, you could use them for compression straps, but a little awkward. Yeah, you could. But it's kind of automatically, it sort of closes itself up there. It makes, I don't have much in here right now. It makes for a pretty decent, you know, compression automatically. But, you know, just pointing out the differences, and they could have some operational or performance effects. Okay, so that's the rough intro to the pack. Let me tell you about the feature that I like the best with this thing. So I like having features that allow me to do what I need to do on the spot without a lot of, modifications. And this comes with these straps, you know, just right here. I cross-tie them to keep them kind of out of the way. And you just quickly undo them, stretch them out. Now your pack is hugely expandable. So this just saves the day so many times. The pack isn't a huge pack, right? It's 40 liters, but still, you know, it doesn't take much to fill that up. So having options really pays off. And this provides a lot of options. So for example, for me, more often than not, it's the climbing rope that goes on here. Climbing rope, who's going to carry it? It's often a decision that gets made in a parking lot, last minute. And so being able to pack up your pack and still have the ability to throw a rope on, you know, at the last minute without having to redo everything, huge advantage. I just, every time I do this, and virtually every time I go out, I am so happy about this pack. You know, when things are working with your pack, you just say, yes, that's a great pack. That's my pack. I love it because it's working for you. So there you go. You've got your rope ready to go. No fuss, no muss. You're out hiking towards the crag or the ice. So that's that. I'll contrast that with the new generation. So now this new generation, you know, this is black. I don't know how well you can see this, but I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. I've got those straps sort of cross-tied in there. Actually, this isn't even the way I normally do it. I just got this pack, so I'm still figuring out my routines. But, so you still have the straps, that's a good thing. But they provided these little eyelets here. So with it being black, it's pretty hard for you to see. So let me just kind of get a close-up of that, see if you can get a look at that. Notice there's a slit in the top. I put that there. It didn't come that way. So without this here, you know, I can't really separate the straps easily. The straps mostly be captured. You know, of course you could undo the buckle and you can unweave it. That's a little, well, more than a little bit of a pain to do that. But if this is captured, you can't get the straps out conveniently, you'd be trying to squeeze your load in this way. So can you imagine me trying to squeeze that climbing rope in here? I'd be working at it for a while. So obviously if you got some nice, you know, well-contained items to put in here, a sleeping mat, sleeping bag, maybe a tent poles. I mean, not a problem with those. But it's about versatility, about being able to adapt to the various needs that you have. And so I need to be able to get these straps off of here. So I put these cuts in these things, which allow me to easily take the straps off. You can see like that. And now I've got the same arrangement I had on this other pack. I can easily put whatever I have in here. This might be a little bit better because the straps are bigger or longer. But I can put that load in here, and then I can strap it up and cinch it down, right? So I can put all kinds of stuff. I put pack wraps, I put paddles, and sleeping bags and ropes. Could be more than one rope. I might get more than one rope in here depending upon the rope. But like I say, just having the ability to grow is huge. So much more you can do with the pack. There's another detail I'll point out here. Notice these keepers. Again, the same sort of C-shaped plastic thing. It didn't come with these. These I cannibalized off of the other Lookout 40 I had. It had them on here so they would stay in place. You wouldn't have a lot of strap flapping around. And this one's got a lot of strap. You could get it flapping around a lot if you don't have something like this, kind of keeping that slack or that excess webbing in place. So that really helps with this guy. So I can kind of cross tie these in here nicely to use up that slack and keep it out of the way for all the times when I'm not using it. But anyway, that's just a contrast. And I'll also point another detail while I'm looking at these. So notice these buckles. They're small. And they're smaller than these ones. Give a close-up of these if I can. Well, anyway, you might be able to see those a little bit better there. But notice that, this is pointed. These ones aren't. It's bigger, first of all, so you don't have, it's easier to handle. Remember, you don't have gloves on. Could be cold, your hands are numb. It could be wet. Could be dark. A lot of times it's dark. So these are just so easy to do. It's such a joy to, they're tapered on both sides, so you can insert it easier into the mating part of the buckle. And when you squeeze them, it just pops right out, right? So it's just a joy. There's really just no fuss, no muss with those at all. You don't appreciate that stuff until you get ones which don't work that way. And you think, for crying out loud, you had it perfect, why are you changing it? So first of all, you go to these smaller buckles. Now let's say we're talking about weight. How much weight are you really saving, right? None, hardly. It's pointless in my opinion. But so it's smaller, so it's harder to get it aligned, right? But the other thing with these things being parallel, not pointy, you really have to have the two pieces perfectly aligned. It's so easy to get them off. And so it takes concentrated effort to align these and get them in. And then with these being parallel, they don't pop out very good. Right now I'm squeezing this. I kind of have to work it out. Whereas this one, I squeeze it and it just comes undone, right? And I got to do nothing to it. This one takes work. And you say, oh, how petty, how silly. Well, I use this thing, like I say, every day. Buckles on, buckles off, buckles on, buckles off, buckles on, buckles off. I'm cold, I'm wet, I've got gloves on, I'm in a hurry, it's dark, whatnot. When you're fumbling with these silly things, that's just stuff that can make you say, gosh dang it, why couldn't they just go with some buckles which work? We don't have to always be reinventing things and doing stuff that we already know works, or changing things which we already know works. So that's that point of comparison. But still, having those straps in the base still put that pack way above its competitors, in my opinion. And you could argue, hey, any pack I could put straps on. But when you have to take an extra step, I'm going to leave these here, I guess. Take an extra step, you know, it's just means that you might not do that extra step. When it's just right there, handy and ready, then it's an option you can easily take advantage of. So that's my most favorite feature on this pack, having those straps down there. A feature I might add that they're getting away, that they're moving away from. The Trail 40 still has the straps, but they've done away with the buckles. There's no buckles. All you can do is get yourself some slack, try to squeeze stuff under here, and then tighten it up. Okay, it's still something, but it just means the functionality gets lower, lower, and lower, to the point where it's just not really working for you. So let me go to my second most favorite feature on this pack, and that's these side compression straps here. I use them for so much. I mean, almost everything. Every outing I go on, I'll somehow utilize these for something they're not intended for. Again, the law of unintended uses. So they just probably put these on saying, well, let's just put our extra volume here, let's put a compression strap here, and we'll just pull it closed. That's all they thought they may be used for. Well, as you'll see, I use them for lots else. So fortunately, it's got these ice axe loops. Those are another thing that are going away on a lot of packs. Fortunately, the current generation still has them. I don't think the Trail 40 has them. So I use them. I ice climb. And then I'll trap the handles up in these, compression straps. Okay, so now you got a fantastically tight pack job there that's good for scrambling and trailblazing through the woods and wherever. And I'll point out another thing about these straps and buckles. I was already bragging about or extolling the virtues of these buckles, but this compression strap, notice where the buckle is. It's on this side, right? Not that side. So I'm putting stuff here, the buckle down there, it's just that much more effort. Little bits of effort add up and just make you start cursing the gear you have rather than praising it. So it's right here. When my gear is doing what I want it to do and it's easy for me, I'm just loving it like that. I mean, it just can't get any easier than that. You say, yeah, well, of course, they must all be that way. No, they're not. So this pack, this is the new Lookout 40, again. This one you can still buy, at least for a limited time. They have done a different thing with their compression straps. First of all, it's the same crappy buckles like I was talking about before, but they put the buckles, they do come up here in the same region. Of course, I've customized this to make it work more like the other one. The way they intended, you may not be able to see this. I'll try to show a close-up. There's a plastic eyelet jobby there and another sort of tie-down jobby do here. I'm utilizing this for the compression strap so I can pull it down that way. I can also pull that strap up higher if I need to trap things. They intended for it to go through here, kind of like through there, and then down to clip down here, kind of in a zigzag fashion. You know, it's not a horrible thing, but it kind of just leaves the top unattended and puts this crossover point down lower. If I want to use it to hold things like coats, I'll show that in a minute or whatever. It's handier for me to utilize this, so I'll bring this strap up into this tie-down loop that's not intended for this purpose, but it works fine. But here's the buckle on this other side. So I'm sitting, I have to pull stuff out of the way. Where is the stupid buckle? It's black too, so that doesn't help much. Everything is black. I can't hardly see very well. When you know the contrast is very low, so I can make my compression straps work like this. Stow this extra And that's fine, that's working. But the point is that why do we have to put these buckles down here? You know, it's just not a happy place for them. This could have worked just as well having it go the other way. Now, they obviously thought they were getting some value in coming and zigzagging up here with it. So that's probably what drove this decision. But really, what did you really get from that? Tying it down here does nothing for you. You know, pulling down the middle, was that such a big deal? I don't see any value really at all pulling down on the middle. Anyway, those are features that a designer can think about and really put it in perspective now that they're seeing how these compression straps can be used. You know, just it's simple, it works fantastically. Other features. So I'll talk more about these compression straps, by the way. Maybe I'll do that now since I've got them. I showed you how the ice axe could go in there. That's not the only thing. You know, I've got trekking poles that I work in here. I would put the ends down these pockets. They don't get used for drinks, but they get used for other things. And then these compression straps come and can trap them in here. I also use this haul loop with those because these are long trekking poles. That's as short as they get. But it works fantastically because I've got the features on here which allow me to adapt different things to it. I might have my pack raft paddles that I can go in here and you know, so on like that. Coats, other ropes. I could take a coat off. I'll show that to you in a minute. Drape that over here. Additional ropes. You drape them over here. There's times you're just moving from one crag to the next. You know, I might just, maybe I'd use this, but sometimes I'll just say, hey, this is easier. I'm just going to drape a rope over there and fasten it, and then I'm throwing it on my back and I'm hiking to the next climbing wall. Again, ease of use. These features provide a lot of ease of use. Now for me, for wet, dirty, snowy things like crampons that are also pointy, there's no way I want these things inside my pack, right? So having some means to put stuff outside the pack and still have it be safe and secure is valuable. I went and got these accessory straps, and this pack has these tie-down points here, these strips of loops, and they're real convenient for this purpose. I can put these straps in here and throw my crampons in there. I put the points up just so it doesn't interfere with the rope, and you know, I can tighten them down real quickly and easily, and there they are. Pack's made out of pretty durable material. A lot of packs aren't. They're real thin. They strive for low weight, and there's value in that for sure. But you know, the durable material like this, you know, I don't have to worry about it snagging on bushes and branches. It's going to take some sort of abuse like this. Canyoneering, there's a lot of abrasion, and it'll go through a pack that fast. So this pack is great that way. So I've got my crampons nicely there. You know, bring my ice axe up. It's another feature I wanted to mention before we go to the next thing. So everything rides nicely. The points are not interfering, and you know, it's great. But the other thing is, because they put these strips of tie downs up here in the middle of this outside pocket, it makes it so I can still get at everything just fine. I can get in here and I can get stuff, right? Need that headlamp or you know, a monocular to look at where we're going, or whatever. That's an important feature, you know, that you don't really think about until you're confronted with it, right? So Continuing, the helmet, need a helmet for climbing. Don't want to waste space on the inside. That doesn't make any sense. Inside space is precious. So again, I can use these compression straps, and I'll just weave them through the straps on the helmet. And it traps it here. And I've got it tied on nice, tight, and securely. It's not all floppy. Some people that just like clip it to something, and they get all this, like a traveling gypsy or something with the pots and pans and everything banging and flapping around on the outside and catching things and dropping off. And gosh, I followed those people on the trail, and they're just like littering their crap all over and getting stuck on stuff, and it's ridiculous. So this makes for a nice tight arrangement. We're ready to go climbing. But that's not the end. It's cold out. If you're hike skiing, if you're snowshoeing or backcountry skiing or cross-country skiing or ice climbing, start out cold and you get warm, you want to shed, right? So here's a my soft shell, and so I might want to take that off, and then I'll just, I can easily trap that in this strap as well. The same thing, on this side. And in less than a minute, I've shed a layer and I put it on my pack, and now I'm ready to go. I haven't had to stuff stuff in my pack and unpack it, get things out of the way. I could go around the corner and it could get cold again, right? So the wind could pick up, or you move out of the forest and you get on an exposed ledge, whatever, and now you need to take it off and take it off the pack, put it on again. So just having it right there, take on and off is fantastic. So that's an example of my gear and the various ways that you can adapt this pack's features to it, right? Y'all will have your own needs and adapt in different ways, but the point of this video and this demonstration is that this pack offers the features that allow you to adapt to whatever your various needs are going to be. Let's see, there's a couple of other things I wanted to point out. Like I said, I pack raft. So, there's a alpaca pack raft. These are wonderful products, by the way. I highly recommend them. It's only 5 pounds. It's really fantastic raft. It's nice and durable. I've had it on class 4 rapids. It's so light you can just easily just throw it in the pack or wherever and hike out with it and hop on a body of water. But this pack, it's got these features like I'm talking about, and lends itself well to transforming the inflated pack raft into a raft pack. Okay, so this pack, I use the same back straps here, and I can attach them to attachments on the raft. Hold this back upside down so it's on top of the raft tubes. Imagine the rear of the raft back here, the front of the raft going around me. Then I'll attach those. I'm just using their regular straps and their buckles and tighten them down. And then I'll have a couple of other accessory straps here that I'll carry in my outside pouch there, going through this middle haul loop, which I use all the time, by the way. I put beaners on that, I haul from it, I'll hook it off when I'm climbing, this and that. So this is a great feature. Not all packs have that necessarily. So I put it on here and I tie that down to the raft. Do the same thing on this side over here. And then I've got a really nice secure system. The pack is attached to the raft. My feet go underneath it so I can paddle around, do my thing. And then when it comes time to maybe portage around some rapids or transfer to another part of the river or climb out. Sometimes they're really rough banks you're having to climb out on. You need both hands. I can just pick this thing up with the raft attached and throw it on my back. The raft is towering above me, right? But it's only 5 pounds, so you don't even know it. Know it's there. And you can hike and scramble and just go all over with this whole raft on top of you. It's fantastic. Now this pack's not the only one that could attach, obviously, to the raft. We can attach things in many different ways. The only point is that it's got these features just allow things to be really convenient and easy. So pockets. I might want to mention that with these contrast with this. This one doesn't have pockets on the sides like that. It's sewn up here. You can't get in there. So for me, wanting to put stuff down there and thinking, that's not going to be so good. So I actually cut it here. Just say, okay, I want to open that up. Well, that's not going to really work so good inside because you can't really expand it out. It's probably just going to rip it out. So that's a function that I'm just probably not going to be able to use that way. They intended the water bottles to be put in this way. Well, I can still capture that a little bit for holding things. If I had some, part of my paddles, I can still kind of squeeze those in there. I could even get a section in here and do the same thing like I'm used to doing with this pack, but it's different. Not quite as tailored to the function that I put that to, but different packs you can adapt differently. The point is that they're almost designed this capability out of it. I'm having to try to finagle it when it would have been much more automatic, being like these ones. Another detail I'll mention about these packs that I think is important: when climbing, ice climbing in particular, you haul on all this gear up, and then once you got it all deployed, the pack is pretty light. There's not that much in it. A lot of people will have these big packs, and they have to leave them at the base, and they'll bring a second pack along with them. And that the climb, they'll throw extra food, water, what gear they might need, and emergency items, what have you, into that pack and climb with it. It's smaller; it comes right up above their harness. This pack is just about perfectly sized because I can climb with it very easily, and I have many times. So I can just cinch it. I think it's already cinched up high on me. Now I've actually had this waist belt come across like this, climb this way, so it's above my harness, and so I can get at stuff. And I, fasten the shoulder strap for more security. But most of the time, I don't use the waist strap there. It's kind of just in the way, and so I can fasten it behind, like so, and cinch it up so it doesn't get, in the way, what have you. And now I can carry this whole pack. It's like I don't even know it's back there, and it helps in many respects. I can carry other people's gear as necessary. You don't need to have everybody carrying a pack. If this one's easy to climb with, I could even climb with a rope in it, and other people can put their stuff in it, and that saves, say the leader from having to climb with the additional burden of his gear. So, that's, again, saves you from having to do stuff that other people, need 2 packs for. So versatility, that's the bottom line of this pack. So before I conclude this video, I wanted to point out some of the customizing I'm doing on this pack. Again, a way of contrasting what was working and what we had with what not working quite as well, that look, as we just changed this and that, we can get a better pack out of it. the details I think designers ought to be interested in. So I've already mentioned, adding stiffness to it. Why did we get rid of that? That was completely unnecessary. Getting rid of this, I put wire ties here in the middle. You probably can't see those. You close up this side to make my back plane here nice and secure, so it's not all floppy, and rides with the right contour on my back. And allows me to fill this bag up without having to affect the shape as it interfaces with my body. So that all got modified with that stiffener in there. These rear straps I already told you about, how I cut this so that I can get these straps completely off. That's an important feature. I talked about how I want to be able to contain the excess webbing with one of these other keepers. They didn't have those on it before. I talked about how I modified the side compression straps so that they work better for multiple functions, like I've already talked about. Talk about how I'd like to get some volume in here that I can put stuff in. This one doesn't provide it and doesn't look like I'm going to be able to modify it to get it. So that's just a lost function largely. I talked about that already. This pack doesn't come with a raincoat. I didn't mention that over here, but these packs have raincoats. They have little pouches down here that they keep the raincoat in. Well, that's another thing I cannibalized from this pack, and I'm putting it over here into this pack. So you might say, well, that's sort of silly. Why do we really need a raincoat? I'm out in some real bad weather, many times intentionally, just because it's fun, and I want to keep my stuff dry. So with this raincoat on it, it's, I've got impunity. I can do, pretty much whatever I want. It works really good. And again, the law of unintended uses. Like I say, my ice climbing pack has this. That one had it. And so I use it for a little ground cover. When ice climbing, you're always getting set up. You're putting all your crampons on, you're changing your gear out, you're getting harnesses on, and, all this kind of stuff. So you almost always have to sit someplace. Well, it's not always super freezing out. It could be 40, 50 degrees. It's wet, it's dripping, raining, whatever. You're sitting down in this wet snow, you could be getting wet, and or just cold. So this really helps. I can throw that out and I can sit on that. I got myself a ground cover. Everybody else is suffering, with just sitting in the snow. I can pull this out and no problems here. If they want a little insulation, I can double it up. It really works. So this pack didn't have it, the new generation. So I just took it from that one. It's not going to need it anymore, and I'll stuff it in one of the pouches that this one has. The other thing that I've done to this, it's got a pouch in here. So there's the inner volume, which, no objections to that. But it's got another outside pouch, which is fine, which is great. It's kind of the equivalent of this one's top pouch. Good for cell phones, GPSs, keys, whatever. But what they did with this was that they just put this what do you call it? This fabric pouch hanging on the inside. And so when you fill it up with stuff and you open it up, now it's just flopping in the way. And so you're trying to get at things and it's just it's kind of hanging here. So I put a spot of glue back here to hold that back. So at least it's not just flopping out. It's still useful. I really don't even know why they put that pouch there. It looks like an afterthought. They have another volume in here that looks like it was intended for a zipper across here. Would be a perfect volume for that kind of function. They don't use it. It's there. There's separate layers in it. They don't use it. They're completely separate from the other stuff. That they put this other one in instead with this guy hanging down. it would have made it equivalent to this kind of a pocket, which doesn't poke down into the interior of the pack. So again, a design change which I think would have been slicker, would have been a lot neater to have used this outer smaller pocket here for that, but they didn't. So anyway, that was a customization that I did there. I think that's about all I've done on this pack, but it's 90% ready to go. Like I said, there's a few little deficiencies with it and some annoyances with these buckles, but otherwise it's 90% what these packs were, which is a lot better than the competition, and it's a lot better than the Trail 40 that they're replacing that with. So it's a little warm today. Anyway, so that's my video on the Lookout 40. It's a wonderful pack. It does a lot of things. I am happy I have another one that I can use for the next 10 plus years. But hopefully REI can see this video and say, you know, this guy's got a point. We need to re-examine what we did with that earlier generation and maybe bring it back. It'd be a new thing now, right? So that's the strategy, right? Do something good, get rid of it, get people to forget, bring it back. And people say, oh my God, this is so much better. So that's my video. Thanks for watching.